dead stones or many cells, unicellular organisms, multicellular organisms. Then unicellular organisms are amoeba, also called Pandorina, Eudorina, bulbs, also colonial forms. Then discovery in 1665, Robert Hooke discovered the cells while observing the cork under the microscopes. He saw a small compartment and named them cells, marking the beginning of cell biology or cytology. Starting cell biology means modern knowledge of cytology. Cell cytology only difference between the cell biology cytology does not studies in molecular organization in cell is called cytology, including the molecular organization is also called cell biology. Is the study of the cell, including the structure, function, organelles, and life, interaction, divisions, and death. Then definition, a cell is the basic structure and a functional unit of all living organisms. Just as bricks build a house, cells build the body of the organisms. Means construction of the body of the cell. Cell is a fundamental, which is also a living part. Then metabolic activity conducting part. Then cells vary in size, 1 to 100 micrometers, and contain a structure like the plasma membrane, organelles, and often a nucleus. Means the cell is include the protoplast include the cell wall is called a plant cell. In the protoplast further divides into the protoplasm and plasma membrane. The protoplasm, which can further divide into the cytoplasm and nucleus. The nucleus is a brain of the cell, which can divide into the nuclear membrane, nucleus, nucleoplasm, chromatin. Bodies are major parts in the cell. Then cells are, which is also then, which are a cell theory. Key points, basic unit. The cell is the fundamental structure and a functional unit of living organism. All the cells are arranged from the division to pre-existing cells. Means the any new cells are organized or originated from pre-existing cells, which is also a fundamental part or fundamental theory. Genetic material. Each cell contains a large genetic material that is inherited during the cell division. The genetic material of the human or plant cells is called a DNA. DNA gives us life. DNA gives us all metabolic activity and also inheritance character to be carried from the parent or parental generation to daughter generation. That is also vital function like growth, repair, movement, digestion, communication, and immunity occurs within the cells. The structure function, the cell activities depends on the subcellular structures like the plasma membranes, organelles, and the nucleus, which is also important. Then importance of the cell biology. It helps the different between living and non-living organisms, explores the diversity of the life, which from the single-celled organism like bacteria and protozoa to multicellular ones, plants and animals and fungi, bryophyte, pteridophyte, all it's called the multicellular organisms of plant kingdom, closely linked to the field like genetics, biochemistry, molecular biology, immunology, developmental biology, tissue culture, biotechnology, and microbiology are related to the branch of cell biology. Cell is a fundamental branch of botany. It can be this scope, maybe all type of the branches of the science or biology as botany and zoology. It's undertaking key life process such as growth, metabolism, differentiation, and also called then based on the cell biology relation our science of botany related or divides into several sub-branches. Cytogenetics, cytotaxonomy, cell physiology, cytochemistry, cytoecology, cytopathology, molecular biology. These fields have major application in medicine and agriculture also. That is also cell biology. Cytogenetics study the structure and behavior of chromosomes. Understand the heredity, means carries, how to transfer of the parental character to the daughter generation. That is called heredity, variation, evolution, differentiation, useful in plants and animal breeding, decoding the genetic code and developing the improvement of the crop varieties. Explain. So how traits are inherited and how genetic varieties are originated. Then that is also cytogenetics is a major branch of inheritance, mutation, variation, also evolution. Then cytotaxonomy, based on the cell structure, based on the chromosome number, based on the DNA structure to identification of the plant's name and classification, which is also called a phylogenetic type of the classification. Takhtajan, Kernquist, Engler, and Painter, which are all of the classification based to study is called a cytotaxonomy. Focus on the classification of organism based on the chromosomal characters like number, size, and shape. It helps to determine the taxonomy position of a species using cellular data. Bridge cytology with a taxonomy for better biological classifications. So then cell physiology, study the life functions. Plants function based majorly observation of the nutrients, mineral water from the roots, from soil, then also preparation of the food materials in the uh, starch, also called respiration, nitrogen metabolism, and also flowering. These are all of the metabolic studies which can separate branches called cell physiology, growth, reproduction, and differentiation. It helps in understanding normal and abnormal cell activities. It key to exploring how cells functions and respond to various conditions. This is also then cytopathology, based on the cell to identification of the diseases of plants or animals. Disease caused by abnormal cell activities like cancer or viral infection. Also examples, COVID virus. Studies how toxic chemicals and pathogenic affects cells and tissues. It plays a major role in medical diagnosis and treatment. That is a major important of cytopathology. Then cytochemistry, studies in the chemical composition of cells using microscopy and staining techniques. Identification the presence of key biome molecules like a carbon to study, which is also molecular biology for understanding the molecular makeup of cells. This is also cytochemistry. Then in induction of the cells, all plants and animals are made up of one or more cells. The cells are basic structure, function, unit of life. It also size of the cells and ranges of the cells. This is also studies in this part. Then what are the comparison, how to comparison of the different test features which are important for features are also small in animals and a large wall is absent cells. Then plasma membrane which are brains and inner membranes. Both are present characters and identification. These are absent in then the lysosomes are animals present in the plant cells. Vacuoles, animals, centrozoal and also centrozoa is present in the animal cells, which are a major comparison animals. Then also called a cell and eukaryotic cell. It is a best how many type of that chair. Pro means first, then nucleus. The prokaryotic and examples. The prokaryotic example, then eukaryotic, except cyanoprokaryotic means two nucleated cells and cell size prokaryotic are then means that it is also cellulose emission of the cell wall. It is absent as a nucleus in nucleide. Then it is also single or prokaryotic, then two nucleus. Then the two nucleated means nuclei. Then nuclear membrane sent to eukaryotic is a present cells. Then eukaryotic cell steam movement is also exhibit wall is then also chromosome in prokaryotic. Then one it contains the DNA arrangement is been circular means that is also nucleate. Then also in linear means doesn't detail the glycosinic substance syndrome here. Two arrangements. It is also circular and linear plasma membrane and also mesocytes, but also aerobic respiration, major part mitochondria. Then also endonuclear and Golgi complex is absent in prokaryotes. Then present in the prokaryotes, absent in the eukaryotes. Then also ribosomes are small, 70s type of the ribosomes in prokaryotes called ADS ribosomes in present in the eukaryotes. Centrosomes are vacuoles are also present, absent in the prokaryote, present in the mitosis. Mitosis are occurs in the eukaryotes. Then also got the exocytosis, endocytosis are still present in the eukaryote cell, which is a really differentiation between the prokaryotes and eukaryotes. This is this is also called cell structures. The cell is also how many cell parts majorly, then 12 parts are diverse. That is also nucleus is a major, that is also metabolic activities to the cell. Then it in cell, then also endoplasmic reticulum, ribosome, smooth end ribosomes are which present on the endoplasmic reticulum. That is also rough endoplasmic reticulum. Absent of the endoplasmic reticulum is called a smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Then Golgi bodies, then also got a chloroplast cell, also mitochondria, parasitosome, which are all is a major important parts of the plant cell, which can then the plant cell wall. It is a first biology. It means a wall means the coat. Then in the cell, that is called a plant cell wall. To layer so this plant cells, the cellulose and hemicellulose are arranged into the least three layers in a matrix of pectin. The middle lamellae, primary cell wall, also called the inner cell wall, primary, secondary, tertiary, and also middle. Then meaning of the cell wall. What is a means of to supportive and semi-transparent covering found in plant cells? Semi-transparent means not like a plasma membrane which can process of the osmosis. Low concentrated ions are transferred to the high concentration through through plasma membrane is called osmosis. The osmotic character is important role in the plants and animal cells, which can arranges, which can movements from low to high, not high to low. That is important of the osmotic pressures, which can performing cell organelles is called plasma membrane. Then also it can plant cells, fungi, and some protista. The cell wall is present in plant cells, fungi, and protista. It was first observed by Robert K. in 1660 while studying cork cells under a microscopes. The thickness of the cell wall varies from 0.5 0.1 millimicron to 10 millimicron depending on the type of the cells. It is a non-living extracellular secretion or the matrix. It is also closely attached to the plasma membranes. It is a despite being non-living, the cell wall is a metabolic actively and capable of growth. But non-living, also the wall is a metabolically active and also capable of the growth. The cell wall plays the essential role in the plant cells. It providing a mechanical strength and support, protecting the cell wall from mechanical damage and pathogens. Pathogens which causing agents which can enter into the plant cell and cause the diseases in plants. For the bacteria, virus, lichens, also called a mycoplasma, the maintaining the shape of the cell, also regulating the water intake through the osmosis. This is also important cell wall. But the chemical composition of the cell wall is also matrix. Water is also 60%. Cellulose, cellulose 5 to 15 percentage, pectin substance 2 to 8 percentage, lipids 0.5 to 3 percentage, proteins are 1 to 2 percentage, which is also major parts. Microfibrils, cellulose, fungus, cellulose 10 to 15% of microbes are present, which is also called a cleavage of a covalent bonds of the chemicals. Then it is also nanoscales, and a dispersion of the hydrogen bonds between these parts, structural changes and the major and the pre-treatment of the classes. Then other integrated substances also got lignin, cutin, suberin, silica, and also then it is also important tannins and resins and gums, which is the important characters. Then the spatial distribution of cell wall protein matrix, lipids and polyphenols, which is also composition of the cell wall of the plant cells in higher level of angiosperms. Angiosperms of this. Then structure of the plant cell wall. It is developed from the living protoplast. The cell wall is developing from living protoplast, but it consists of the middle lamellae, primary cell wall, plasmodesmata, secondary cell wall, and pits. That is also major parts. What is the middle lamella? Means after the cytokinesis, it is the first formed layer. It is present in the between the two adjacent cells. One cell and other cells are jointing part. That is also middle lamella. It is made up of the calcium and magnesium pectate. It helps to the chain of the two adjacent cells in different in shape, hexagonal, round cells, spherical cells, any type of the size of the cells joining to each other, which are important, the middle lamellae. Then primary cell wall. It is the first formed the cell wall. It is present on the inner side of the middle lamellae. Outer middle lamella inside. Then outside means secondary cell wall. That is also important. Middle lamellae inside, which can develop from the primary cell wall. It is the thin and permeable layer that can be expanded. Cutin and cutin waxes are present in some epidermal cells, leaf and stem. It makes the primary cell wall impermeably. Impermeable layer means permeably means plasma membrane. You know that impermeably means it is also called a cell wall. Just only the water vapor and also called a cool air. It can transport through the cell wall to the plasma membrane. That is part. It is formed before the growth and development of the cell. It is made up of the matrix and microfibrils. Matrices are made up of the water, hemicellulose, pectin, lipids, and proteins are present in the primary cell wall. That is also inside of the middle lamellae. That part is called a primary cell wall. The microfibrils are embedded in the gel-like matrix. The primary cell wall in the plant made up of the cellulose, hemicellulose, lignin, pectin, which is a common type of the substances based on the vegetative stage or juvenile stage to the reproductive stages. That is also in the fungi, chitin makes the primary cell wall and the bacteria murin makes it. Then primary cell walls are forms the only cell wall. It is a immature and also called a parenchymatous tissue. This is also then this is a primary cell wall, secondary cell wall, and a middle lamella. What are the differentiation? You know that the middle lamella inside primary, outside that is called a secondary cell wall is present. That can be important for identification of the cell wall structure. Then, so this is also middle lamella, primary lamella, plasma membrane. Middle lamella inside primary lamella, but inside the primary cell wall inside plasma membrane. Middle lamella outside secondary cell wall. That is that. The plasma desmata means plasma desmata are cytoplasmic or protoplasmic bridges present in the primary cell wall of adjacent cells. The two primary cell walls are adjacent to each other. That can be formed in the plasma desmata. They form the protoplasmic continuation called the symplast. The protoplasmic continuum connections, which is called simplest. They transfer cytoplasmic material among adjusting cells. The transfer of the cytoplasmic materials when adjusting cells to transfer to each other. The two are, so then cell wall structures. Then secondary cell wall means outside of the middle lamella, you know that. Then the secondary cell walls is situated inner to the primary cell wall. Thus, this is the thick layer permeable and cannot be expanded. It forms after the growth and development of the cell. Then it is present in the cells, in the thick walled dead tissues of the plants. Example, cells of sclerenchyma, tracheids, and vessels. Then it is differentiated into the outer layer, S1, middle layer, S2, and inner layer, S3. That is also differentiation. S1, S2, S3. Differentiation to identification of the cell wall. Each layer is made up of the matrix and microfibrils. The chemical composition of the matrix is almost similar to the matrix of the primary cell walls. The microfibrils of the secondary cell wall is made up of the cellulose and lignins are there. Secondary cell wall. Then it is also got some chemical and suberin silica wax, resins, oils, or etc. also deposited in the secondary cell wall. The secondary cell wall is present in the higher grade of the plants. Then what is a pits? So what it means in the secondary cell wall, pits are thick, unthickened areas are depressed areas. Depressed means not pressed to one cell to other cells. So a pit consists of a pit cavity, pit chamber, and a pit membrane is there. Then the pit membrane consists of primary cell wall and the middle lamella. The pit is also membrane permeable part. Then so the pit helps to the rapid translocation. Translocation means transfer ions, absorption of the mineral water by root hairs. This root is translocated between the two adjacent cells or tertiary cell wall. In some plants cells, there are another cell wall is also beneath the secondary wall. Not only middle lamella, primary cell wall, secondary wall is a common type of the cell walls. Some type of the plants which have another tertiary secondary wall is also, tertiary cell wall is present. The morphology, chemistry, and staining properties of the tertiary cell wall are different from the primary and secondary cell wall. In the tertiary cell wall, xylon also present. So this is also figures of tertiary. Tertiary is not only common type of the cell wall part. Only 3 layers are major parts of the cell wall. Middle lamella, primary cell wall, secondary cell wall is a common, but that is also cellulose. The microfibrils are present. These microfibrils are the additional protection part, mechanical strength of the cell wall, 250 and 0.5 to 0.5 millimicrons are present. Microfibrils are 250 angstrom, 20 millimicrons. Cellulose are present. Cellulose chains 250 glucose are reduced. This is also important parts are. This is also function of the plant cell wall. So what is the important function? How to identification? What are the major works can be done the plant cell? It provides a mechanical support as a skeletal framework in the plant. Skeletal means shape, definite shape of the plant cells. Then by cell wall. Without cell wall, do not have definite shape like animals. The animals is also all muscles type structures, but in plants are not separate, which can made by the outside made by the cell wall is present for a particular specific type of the cell walls, which can measure important for protection also present. Then it protects the inner components of the cell from mechanical injuries. So these mechanical injuries are majorly pressure or water falling, also called rain falling. This is also protective part. That is also, it is a permeable water in solutes. Permeable means imbibition. Imbibition, you know that. Then outer rain falling, the windows and doors are, it can rise as size increases. That can, and dead particles of the cell wall or parts also absorption this. That is called it is a major important. Then it is a permeable to water and solutes. It is a presence of the water filled channels and allow the free diffusion of the water in a water soluble substance. Example: gas, salt, sugar, hormones. Gas, sugar, salt. Salt is also examples of the prickles, mango prickles, and also then also got a citrus prickles, which can enlarge in size after when I do the salt and also capsicum powder. That is important of the different. When the cell is kept in a hydrophobic solution, it prevented the osmotic bursting of the cell. Osmotic bursting. In the cell wall, cutin walls, silica, and suberin are present, which reduce the rate of the transpiration. Transpiration rate is reducing, which major important role of the cell wall. The transpiration rate is decreasing. It can increasing the growth of the plants. Then absorption of the mineral water from root to the shoot tip, that can passes through the transpiration rate increases, more absorption of water by root hairs. That is, the cell wall of the root hairs helps to the absorption of the sap from the soil. Walls of the tracheids and bases helps in the conduction of the sap. Sap means the empty spaces which can, then example, Borasus plumifera, the tallest, then also eucalyptus, which these plants are also called high, the height is also more. How to transfer of the water from the root to, that is also special type of the particles are present. Balls are tracheids and vessels helps in the conduction of the sap. The middle lamella helps to the chain the adjacent cells. Chaining adjacent middle lamellus. One cell to the other cells also joining to each other. The plasma desmata helps to the transfer of cytoplasmic materials among the adjacent cells. So this is also important of the topics. Then all type of the functions of the plant cell wall is a major important. So based on this topic, we are prepared to the multiple choice or filling the blanks questions for preparation of the PG entrance and all other competitive examination. This topic, I prepared the few filling the blanks for practicing of the filling the blanks for your future needs. That the cell is a basic structure in a functional unit that is called life. Then the branch of biology, the studies of the structure and a function is called the cell biology. The term cell was coined by Robert Huge. That is example. Then prokaryotic cells are locked in a two nucleus. Then the fluid contains inside the cell membrane, outside the nucleus. Is called then also cytoplasm, which is also majorly then also plant cells have a rigid covering called the cell wall. The site of the energy production in eukaryotic cells in the mitochondrion. That is also the smallest known cells belongs to the genus of mycoplasma, which is also the gentical material prokaryotes is located, is called a nucleide. Then also cytocells. Then the double membrane of the bone organelles is responsible for photosynthesis. Plants, it is also chloroplast. You know that is simple. The chloroplast is a major part. It is also and that is also individual cell organelles. Then also multiplies in a like